Hello, everybody. Mikael and Simo here, and next presentation is from Simo and about the digital identity wallets. Take it away.
Thank you, everyone. So nice to be here, first of all. So my name is Simo. I'm a VP Products for Skitalis. We're a digital identity company, and we're focusing mostly on basically all the future digital identity wallet ecosystem products. We're also quite interestingly working for the European Commission in the project that they're developing a reference implementation for the future European digital identity wallets, and we are building the reference implementation of the wallet as an open source project. I think you heard a presentation earlier today by Alberto, focusing a bit more on the general stuff around the wallet, so I won't bore you with too many details on that one. Maybe just as a reminder, I'm hoping everyone already knows that at the end of this year, or maybe in practice beginning of next year, each country in the European Union has to have a European digital identity wallet implemented and at least have the PID, so the personal identity data, included in the wallet. So the wallet can be used then at least in the beginning for government services cross-border. And this wallet is building the wallet is based on the revised eIDAS regulation, and it also has a number of different implementing acts going into more to the specification side of things. And there's also an open source effort basically to specify the more detailed technical specifications in this thing we call the Architecture and Reference Framework, ARF, which is something we're also involved in. But today, my focus is mainly first to start a little bit on sort of the basics on what this could also mean for the healthcare industry, or basically just give the basics of if the healthcare ecosystem wants to, and I'm sure they eventually want to, but want to focus on services using the wallet. So what is first of all needed for that if you want to build attestations? And then the rest of my presentation, I will do my very best to do a little bit of demoing with our company wallet, just to show you a little bit of how it actually works. And I'm knocking wood on my table at the moment because I'm working with the developer apps, and we got some updates. So let's see what kind of demo effects we will get today in the presentation. But just to start, I will switch to presenter mode first. So what does it take to establish trusted attestations in the wallet? Like I mentioned, each country needs to have okay, I don't really have any notes, so if you can see it, it's fine. Yeah, so like I mentioned, the PID is something that is compulsory, and there are some other, let's say, legal attestations on the way, like the mobile driving license. But if you want to establish something, there's a level of detail already included in the architecture and reference framework on how to basically establish trusted attestations. So if you want to define something, for example, a health ID or a vaccine attestation, vaccination attestations or whatever, you basically need to define it through this thing that's called attestation rulebook. And it is created by an attestation scheme provider, which can be maybe a number of different, maybe it can be a government, for example, for sort of more legal-based attestation, or it can be even a single company if they want to use an attestation internally, or it can be some kind of a European cooperation system that jointly decides to create a new attestation. And this attestation type, when you define it, it needs to come with a human readable rule book that basically specifies what is that new attestation for, what is the usage, what are the attributes that are included in it, for example, name, age, whatever you want to include in it, the semantics and the encoding, and then also define what kind of proof, trust, and presentation requirements that attestation needs to have. So these can be defined by, for example, the European Commission, public sectoral bodies, or individual providers. And these QR codes, by the way, in the presentation, they should take you to the ARF to get some more detailed information. So if you want to check out more details here. And just to showcase a little bit, there are already at least 2 attestations defined in the ARF. So first one of them is maybe the most important thing is the PID. So it's already defined for the personal identity data, what kind of attributes need to be included in it, what format it needs to take, and all the other things required for it. For the PID, maybe specifically, it's quite an interesting one. It also, on top of the fact that it, of course, needs to have a specific content, but it's also required to be issued into the wallet in actually 2 different formats that are used in the ADAS framework. So the SDJOT and the MDoc, and the MDoc format comes from the mobile driving license world originally. Then there's also a rule book for the mobile driving licenses. Maybe on the mobile driving licenses, why it's quite often mentioned here, that's maybe the standard for mobile driving licenses is an ISO standards, ISO 18013-5, if I recall correctly. And that was basically actually the start, really, of defining these kinds of verifiable credentials in real life. And they're actually used already in across the world in different countries. And it's also one of those things where we already know that there's a new EU directive, which basically makes it obligatory in a few years to issue a mobile driving license in each country. And basically it will be the primary mode for using your license in the future. So it's the first option will be the digital one in the MDL world. And then there's also, if you want to create a new attestation, you can already find this rulebook template, which will help you basically to create this kind of a standardized template. And the Commission will also provide this place where all of these rulebooks will be provided to. So if you're a relying party that wants to use these attestations, you can find basically the requirements from this rulebook of rulebooks or something like that. I forget maybe the official word of that. So that's just shortly for you to know, and maybe as a background, maybe many of you might have been involved already, but in the health sort of ecosystem, it's already been quite prominently featured in these large-scale pilots that have been ongoing. So, for example, in the potential large-scale pilots, there's already been testing of the health ID, for example. So, and currently, for example, we are involved in this EU project, My Health, My Hands, which is also focused on health, using the wallet to sort of provide better health services and better and help in the specific use cases, the citizen and of course the other actors involved. And just finally, maybe as an example, this is from our own issuer system here. So you can see that all these different attestations, you're able to create them according to the specifications in the rule books. It's possible that all of these attestations, they might have different requirements, for example, for issuance. So in some cases, it might be like a loyalty card or something, which you might really not need that much security to get one issued. But if it's, for example, a PID or something like that, you might need, for example, first to, for example, have your existing EID checked, and then on top of that, something else, maybe, for example, reading the passport and doing liveness checks, etc. So it depends on basically the level of attestation, and that can be defined separately. Okay, so those were my slides, but, and of course, if you want, you can interrupt me as well, but I thought I would go straight into the demo part here. And this is where it gets really interesting. So just to make it easy for myself, I could actually start with something that I didn't actually have time to check today what our updates did for this, but I thought I would issue myself a PID here. And this is, of course, just our demo service, so it's not official. And for, let's see, for an actual PID, I think you will need a couple of extra steps that can be added. Let me just see if I can move this away here. Yeah. So there are several different issuer flows defined that can be used, but I will be using the one that allows me to add a document directly from my wallet. So I'm basically contacting the issuer service to issue me a PID. And in this case, our issuer has been specified to basically ask for a passport-based authentication, and also it will do a liveness check and a biometrics check to check that I'm actually the person that wants to have the PID issued. So I will go with the scanning the passport or ID. Please close your eyes. So I'm using my actual passport, so don't take any notes on that.
We'll be recording something.
Yeah. I'm a Finn, so I'm a bit reckless, I think, maybe. Yeah, Argyris.
So that means down yesterday when I left, because I came from Istanbul, I had to go to passport control.
Yeah.
I could have this, the scanning or send my calculations of appointment.
Yes, and that's there are some projects already, maybe a bit separate even from the EUDI for this DTC, digital travel credentials thing. And I don't see anything stopping you from using a digital passport, but maybe that's also a heavily regulated field. So let's see at what point that this will actually happen. But basically, there is already a defined attestation that's called a photo ID, which basically includes all of the passport data and stuff. So it could be used and it has been used basically in the DTC. Well, what I need to do here, if I go with my passport, first it'll ask me to read my MRZ, this machine readable stuff in the passport, and then after that, it will ask me to read this chip from the passport to get the information there. Then I will do a liveness check. It will check with video basically that I'm first of all alive, and it creates the data, and then also does a biometrics check to see that I'm actually the same person that it's in the passport, or even in the back end if there's a photo already there. So let's see, fingers crossed. So first the reading of the data. Oh, that one well. And then this is the important. So read the passport chip. Now it's reading my information. And then it's asking for identification. So it does a liveness check. Uploading the scan, checking. Oops, I guess first demo. success. Ask me for a second time, maybe because I'm a bit excited and my hand is shaking a bit, so that's maybe why. So now I have the PID document in my wallet here. So when you want to use these documents, but by the way, I just say we also have the health ideas, but unfortunately currently we don't have a demo yet for specifically for health scenarios. I would have liked to have one. I think maybe we'll have one in maybe later today or maybe even next week. But I will show you a couple of different flows on how to basically use the wallet. So first, maybe start with the same device scenario. So here's our test relying party service, where you can go for different scenarios that we sort of pre-done. You can do your own scenarios, but let's take an easy one maybe for me. So check if I'm over 21. So this is a website that's asking, for here I can choose like if I want it from the mobile driving license or the photo ID or PID, but let's do the MDL. And then I will be using for the demo here, I'll be using something quite new. There are certain specs defined in the ADAS for this, so basically OpenID for BP, but I will be using like a newer one, this thing called Digital Credential API, which to me seems to be sort of the future way of sharing things remotely because it's really fast and really easy also for users. So I will do that option here. So basically now the website will be asking for me if I am over 21. And boom, I get a question from my wallet if I will share this information from my mobile driving license. Is the portrait, age over 20, age over 18. Actually, it should be 21, but yeah, never mind. I will accept. And the information is now in the web page. So it has my photo and just the information that was requested, so nothing else. It didn't ask for everything from my mobile driving license. It's just the basic information needed for the age check. Then just to maybe make it a bit harder, I will actually, I turn off my screen here and I will do the same thing cross device. So I will be making this request from the website in my computer. So let's do the same one. Mobile driving license, start the digital credentials engagement. Now I'm getting, as you can see on my phone, I'm getting this thing that confirm this MacBook wants to ask me if I'm over 20 or something like that. I will accept. And basically right away, the website on my MacBook gets the information that I asked for it. So it's a very, very fast, very easy, and very secure way of actually sharing this information. Yeah.
You can specify this value when you click the registration. But can this be extracted as information from your ID card or your driving license? Since they contain the proof plate, so
I think it's possible, yes, but it might be. I think there might be some concerns. I think the latest version of the PID, as far as I understood, actually doesn't even include this age over things. I think they've been removed now, but there are other attestations, like for example, the photo ID, which will come, and also the MDL, which do include these age over 18, age over 21 directly there. But yes, I think it's also possible to implement it in a way where basically you calculate it from it, but then you basically need to, I think, ask for the specific date of birth, which is not as privacy preserving as this method is, where you just basically create this. Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. That's good. But those were the online scenarios. Then for those of you following this remotely, unfortunately, I had a bit of an issue this morning, so I cannot share this online, but just to quickly show everyone, like for proximity, there are different, there's a different method of transfer there. This is based on the ISO standards in the MDL world. So basically, in proximity cases, you can actually, even in offline modes, you can transfer your data, for example, using Bluetooth directly from your phone to the validator or the verifier. So here I have, for example, a POS terminal that has our sort of verifier software. I can use it both by tapping an NFC or reading a QR code, whichever it is. I will use the QR just for the demo purpose. I can later maybe show the NFC as well. There's a bit of a bug related to Android data system. So when I use the NFC, it's first asking me which wallet or system I want to use, and then I need to tap again. So it's not like perfect right at this moment with Android, but I think it will be there once these are coming. But so here, this is from my verifier. I can ask, from here I can define basically what I want to ask for. I have here the same thing. I have age proof here, and I can choose whether I want the tap mode or the scan code, but I will use the scan code. And from my wallet, I will choose the in-person scenario, which creates a QR code. I will read this QR code with the verifier. Now it's connecting to the device and requesting the data. I got a request to my wallet asking for my portrait and age over 18. I will send it. And now it's transferring this, I think in this case, via Bluetooth, and my photo and the age over 18 information has been transferred to the POS terminal. So it can be quite handy, and of course this has certain implications. So in the future, for example, if you're making payments in the store and you happen to look young enough to maybe somebody ask for your ID, you could combine those requests basically and do everything with one tap, even in proximity case. So quite interesting possibilities there. Okay. Just wondering, was there anything else maybe that comes to mind you might want to? This went rather quickly, actually, and I'll be happy to stay around here and with the people present here to do some demos. But if there's anything else, maybe just quickly, because I didn't actually go to the wallet too much, but so just for maybe to the basics again. So with the UDI wallet, everything, all of the credentials that you have, they're actually located on my phone. And if I share this, for example, to a relying party by the internet or in proximity, I'm only sharing it from my phone, and there are a lot of technical sort of details put into the ADAS regulation and the other things that makes it so that the issuer actually cannot track where I'm using a certain credential in. So it's very privacy preserving. And also it will be very difficult, or after maybe ZKP implementations, impossible for any relying parties to collude and try to gather information on the usage of different attestation to basically create a profile of how you're using it. So this whole ADAS regulation, the sort of the privacy and the user control is very much included in all the specs. And maybe one thing that's not mentioned is that on top of holding and sharing attestations, the wallet can also be used for digital signatures, so for across Europe. So that's also something that will be handy. By the way, here maybe. And the documents, they have expiry dates, and here's one I actually have that has expired. Let me move this a bit. But there are all these also protocols for example, for reissuance. So for example, here I just click reissue, it's contacting the issuer, and hopefully in a bit it will be reissued if our server is running properly. Yes. So I think that's what I have for now.
Thank you so much, Simo. You didn't have a health-related use case. Some of us have been working on the international patient summary and how to put that into wallet. The credentials you showed were quite simple, so to say. So your age, your identity, like name, so on. Whereas the patient summary itself, it's only a subset of your health data, but it's still pretty verbose. It might have all of your vaccinations when they've been given, and all of those are. They could be separate credentials, or then the IPS itself could be a credential on its own. And we've been testing some of that. So how do different health-related credentials show on a wallet? With Samuel, we have been working on something. Samuel, are we ready to present some of that?
It will take me maybe a few minutes to set up the demo.
And then I'll tell the online participants we may have a break and then we'll continue. But yes, we'd like to do that, and definitely want to see how we get that stuff ported to the EUDIS wallet reference.
Yes, and luckily a lot of people are working also on this ecosystem. And like I said, we actually do have an older health demo, but I don't want to use it now. I think we'll do a new one, and we do support like what's been built in the potential and the health ID in basically both formats. So we are very much involved in this work as well.
Any other questions? Iris, do you want to present yourself to the online followers? Just. Okay.
Okay.
How easy is to create new attestations or experimenting? So you have the rules, that's totally fine, but how easy is it for me tomorrow to start creating new attestations for things that I just want to try out?
Well, it depends, of course, on what's being built. So, for example, I showed a screenshot of our sort of the company issuer. That's sort of a commercial product. It's very easy. You can basically, you don't need, for example, any developers from our company to do it. You basically just define what you want. You can do it yourself, and you can even define the onboarding method, like what you want to be included there. For example, if you want to include passport scanning or not, if you want to include password, whatever, if you want to connect to an EID or whatever it is you want, it's basically up to that. So it doesn't have to be very difficult to do that, no. Well, thank you so much. And for anyone present here, if you want to share this more detailed or maybe try it out, then I'll be here for, let's say, at least the next half an hour here. So thank you very much.
And people online, just a minute, we'll change the setup and we'll continue.
All right, hello everybody. I have not practiced this demo, so we'll see how it goes. But well, I suppose most of the people present know about the IPS, the International Patient Summary, and so it's the kind of structured format for basic information about a patient. And here we have built a simple service which takes the IPS JSON as input and then outputs a digital credential into a wallet. So in background, there is a backend API that can take this JSON as input and create a credential offer as response. And this is just a dummy user interface to make it easy to test with different payloads. And there is even a pre-loaded IPS bundle, which is some kind of example from the IPS website, I think. So basically, this could be something that is produced in your healthcare patient record system, and this information could be sent to the service. And here I just press this button, and now I have some digital wallets installed in my phone, and I will now start Proceedis wallet as WIS1, and it has one credential. It's actually a naughty or nice credential, which I can present to the Santa Claus when he comes. But now I want to have this IPS document in my wallet, so I press the scan button here and try to scan the QR code on the screen. Let's see if I manage. Yep. And now the wallet shows me that, okay, this is the information that is offered to me as a digital credential. Sorry that my user interface is still in Finnish. I should have changed that, but it's a credential offer, and the hyväksy button there means accept. So I can, if I choose to accept this, I can click on hyväksy and I can accept the credential. And now I have two credentials in my wallet, and I can view my credential information here. So basically, if I was injured or hospitalized abroad, I could just take out my wallet and display here in my on my mobile device that, okay, these are my medications, these are my allergies, these are my previous operations, and so on. But of course, it would be more powerful if I can share this as a digital credential, and automatically the information could be transferred to the electronic health record system of the healthcare provider who's attending me. But we don't have that capability yet, so that's where we are at the moment. It's possible to get the information, and what we were working on today was mostly that if we go back and look at the data here, so the IPS format uses embedded HTML, so we have, for example, HTML tables in many places that's allowed. So what we are doing, we have a simple parser which parses these tables and just outputs them as key value pairs in the credential to make it easier for people to read. So these kind of things that we are exploring and finding out that, okay, digital wallets don't support HTML content out of hand, so we need to make some kind of workarounds. but currently the demo is progressing well, and we'll see if we can get to the verifier part as well. Any questions, comments? Yep.
This is something that I would like to touch after it goes, but why not now? How do you see this going? I was talking to Simon before. We have a patient in Greece, which is a real case, who has a patient somewhere 5.6 megabytes.
Yeah.
And it has almost everything.
Yes.
UI is one part, which is not what I care for, but how easy would that be to make this information digestible?
So you mean if the payload is very large, how do the digital wallets handle it, and how does it really?
How do you envision this
Yeah.
to function?
Yeah.
I know it's an edge case, it will not be a normal case.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not aware of any specific restraints or constraints in the digital wallet specification saying that this is the maximum payload. And of course, at some point, if you have like embedded X-rays or images, stuff like that, then when you're talking about gigabytes, then the physical constraints of your mobile device probably come into play. But I would say that a few hundred megabytes could be still feasible, and you could maybe just make a constraint that you can transfer textual information but not videos or stuff like that, and make it workable. But I think that when you are only having textual information, you can get pretty far with the wallets. But of course, we would need to test that and see whether they are real constraints. And I also already noticed that this Prosivis wallet that I'm using, it has a limit of kind of how many lines you can get in one attestation. So here the sections here are the IPS sections, and that's you only get about around 10 or a dozen lines in your wallet when you are viewing the information. But of course, if you are passing it as an electronic format to the verifier, then all the information will be transferred, not just the ones that are shown here. So this is just a quick review. And if you are talking about your complete medical history and all the events and procedures and stuff like that in one IPS, then I don't think any human being would be reading it from your mobile device. It would be needed to transfer automatically to the system, and then the system would display the relevant information. So did I answer the question?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We will get back to it.
Yeah, nice. Yep.
So you hope I pull out from all of these in the medical question. I'm just wondering, this isn't fired.
Yep.
So we can try this, you know?
Yes.
We have time to put that in the system, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was just looking at the FIRE documentation that, okay, it has some kind of IPS. And actually, let's come back to the demo. So here, I think I have in FIRE documentation this kind of example IPS bundle. So what I could do is to copy that.
And give feedback to Epic that it's really hard to copy stuff.
Yeah, it's doable. It's doable. Yes. And now if I remove the placeholder default template and replace it with this, I can get the different offer. I can go back to my wallet and again try to scan the code. And now I have the international patient summary for Jackson Jaden. And I can see that Jaden Jackson is allergic to nickel and has influenza virus vaccine and all kinds of other stuff. And I will accept this credential. And now I have two different IPSs in my digital wallet, one for Jackson and one for BTF and Hulp. So, I just made the client registration in the Fire Epic sandbox environment, so I will look at how to actually get the information what's available there. So,
Because I hope, that would be something we could do.
yeah. All right, there is something in the chat, so let me see if it's relevant. No, it's just thanks Simo Karppinen. All right, thank you. I will end my presentation here.
Let me have this here. So should be good.
Camera if you want. So people know you. Very good.
Yes, then we can start.
Yes, we can start.
Okay, that's interesting. So I will try not to waste that much time of your hackathon session, but I would like to present the use cases we have identified in two projects, the XR and My Health, My Hands. Both are on the patient side, and we are trying to follow and comply parts of EHDS, like the empowerment that it gives to patients to access and download their medical records and do whatever they want with them. So this is mainly the focus of XR, and there we have identified through the use of the XR yellow button 3 main functionalities. One of them is to download your files. The second one is to share them once, and the third one is the linked options, as we call it, or the continuous sharing, as you may describe it elsewhere. And in the current implementations and testing that we had also back in Connectathon in Vienna in June, we are working with the IPS, and since some of the participants in XR are NCPHs, which for their own benefit, let's say they're using the OpenNCP component, which produces a CDA. We have created a converter so they can convert the CDA to FHIR. And from another project that was two or 3 years ago, there is PathED. You can also utilize the translation service. So you could download your patient summary already translated in the language that you want, let's say. So there is also a FHIR implementation guide, and we also have Giorgio here. It would be nice a comment later on that. And so there are 2 things. One is the download, which is pretty easy in a sense, let's say, and we will see a demo shortly after. And the second is that has also been implemented and tested in Connectathon was the one-time share using the smart health links. At this time of the project, we are exploring the continuous sharing, and I recall Mikael has presented the Smartup launch, and we are also considering this approach. And the colleagues from Cyprus are trying to make, let's say, a hacked or extended version of smart health links to act as such, so they can reissue, let's say, the patient summary, because initially the idea is that when you are sharing a smart health link, it gets a snapshot of the patient summary at a certain time that you created it. But this is something that they are trying to implement and test on a later stage. The third one that we want, and thanks to the presentation of Samuel, is to make the yellow button act as an issuer for the wallet. So technically what you presented for the patient summary, but this is something as a question again, what do we want to get from the patient summary into the wallet? For that, we have identified in My Health, My Hands that we would like to focus firstly on the medication list, on allergies, and on vaccination. Doesn't make necessarily sense to put the whole patient summary, at least not on certain use cases, in the wallet. And the first use case of My Health, My Hands was to authenticate a user in an online pharmacy context. So there is the cross-border stuff, which are nice, but then there is again online pharmacies, which could benefit of this whole infrastructure of the EUDI wallet. And in fact, we did also have a nice test session for that in Vienna, and it was successful to 80%, let's say, because then what is missing is the connection with the prescription system on your national level, or in our case, and you will see a demo of that, when we are following the cross-border, then you need to be able to connect to the NCP and retrieve information from the other country. To a certain extent, that did happen back then. So let me start with this demo first. Sorry. I hope it has sound and no sound to this. Okay. So what we are seeing, this is the cross-border portal from Hungary. And what we have tried in this demo is a Greek patient using the Greek wallet to be identified in cross-border and successfully retrieve the e-prescriptions available. So there is, as Simon presented before, on the left side, we do have a verifier. It was like the POS that he was holding before, but now it's on a mobile phone, but it can be on any, let's say, Android or non-Android if you implement it in your system, whatever. And the pharmacy technically is asking for the personal ID and health ID. Health ID is another attestation that was created back in potential from use case 6. And this is what it is requested from the pharmacy at this point. So as you will see, I do have on the right side, you see my wallet, and let me briefly stop it here. I do have a health ID and PID, and then we are going to see what is inside. On health ID, you get to see the affiliation country, for example, demographics, and sorry, I can't pause it. Okay, can this hide, move? Okay. So here we have the patient ID. For a Greek citizen, this is the social security number, but someone else could be, I don't know, ID card or something different. And the PID is something that also Simon presented before. We also have the age over 18, you have all the demographics, etc. And now going back to the verifier, we create the QR, so it's the opposite flow that Simon presented before. And we see what is the verifier is asking the wallet, and from all these check marks on the side, you can decide if you want to share this information or not. And then on the other side, we see what verifier, what we said, and here you will see what verifier received, which is pretty much the same information as on the other side. So as all these are happening, the portal has an extended module and is receiving all this information from the verifier side, and it's passing them to the portal. So it is already pre-filled here with my social security number, and it's going onwards. See, here we have the demographics, and here they are going to ask for the prescription documents. And there are some available prescriptions. So that was one of the use cases that we did test in Vienna, and so it's pretty similar to the online pharmacy, but there is a link missing there that you need to connect the pharmacy to the NCP if you want to do this in cross-border. If it's on national level, I believe it will be a little easier. And yes, please. B. Yes.
And you are going to show your ID as country
A.
A. So instead of putting the data by hand, differently you get this information by the QR code.
Yes.
What you are doing. Then you follow the same pattern that is now for the managed users.
Correct. Correct. And during summer, when we were submitted the first change proposal for this pattern, there was also a discussion if we would like to extend the international search mask, and instead of having this pattern that currently has, to include there the health ID attestation from the wallet ecosystem. So this then becomes as a normative, or you have two options. Because if something works, okay, keep it as a redundancy and add on it, build on it. And the second thing that potentially we would like to explore, and I'm saying this because I'm not sure of the legal changes that it may require in My Health at EU, is to avoid making all these requests in sequence. Since you know my number and you have part of my demographics, which, by the way, given the ecosystem of the wallet, you know that they are true, you could potentially remove CA. Why do you want to search me? I gave you my information. You can make directly an XPD.
Some of the data that are in different attributes that are used by the portal for retrieving information on the other side.
In this case, yes. In the case of the online pharmacy, you need to share also the authentication part. The online pharmacy, this is the tricky part, is not yet in a cross-border context. In border, yes. In the cross-border, first of all, you don't authenticate a citizen, you authenticate a healthcare professional. So either pharmacists should log into the system. Yes. So again, it's in border. Yes.
Yourself and use a third party service. I did that from the Italian e-wallet. I use some online service in Belgium, and I did that. So I was wondering if you have been able to do something similar also here.
So this is what I would like to explore in XR, but just to complete these two demos. No. Let me briefly show you this case. Just okay, this has audio, so I can stop talking.
Meet Yannis, an Athens resident who actively manages his personal health records through the eHealth Pass mobile app. With eHealth Pass, Yannis can securely access, manage, and share his health data whenever he needs to. Yannis, through the X-Share button, requests to download and import his patient summary from the NCP. While NCP is currently generating the patient summary in CDA format, there is an extension that now allows the transformation of the CDA to Fire IPS, which is then imported in eHealth Pass. Yannis is having a teleconsultation with his personal doctor, Dr. Dimitris, and informs him about a new drug allergy during his current medications. Dr. Dimitris is updating Yannis' patient summary in the national infrastructure, and then Yannis is notified to update his personal health record in eHealth Pass.
I am now entering the allergy I saw into your patient summary, and this info will be available to any healthcare professional using this system. That way, you won't be given the same medicine again to put yourself at risk.
So what you see here is that there was a new allergy introduced as an update. And at this stage, there was identified pretty early in the architecture that was proposed in XR and we skipped them totally two things. One was the consent, which is something we are trying to tackle now. And the second, which was practically out of scope for XR, was the identification part. Because I don't care how you log into the application, but now that we have the wallet, this is something we could actually do. So going back to what you said, and this is something that I would like to do with all of you, if we can spend like 10 to 15 minutes. I would like people to act as elements of this ecosystem. So I can have a patient, I want a yellow button so someone can be the button, I want someone to be an HR. So don't be shy. It will take 10 minutes and I think it will be easy to see and identify things that are missing. People who are online will miss this part, but okay. And then there are, for me, two things which can be clear pretty fast. The difference between having access to something and the difference between being able to share this in a standard way. Because we do have the format for the data, that's totally fine. But when we are going to the wallet side, we do have a different format, which is the MDOL, which is purely technical, can import stuff and do its magic and share them in a different way. So for this, please. Okay. Perfect. Patient.
Patient works.
Patient. We have a patient.
I need to record.
You need to record.
Yes, I will put here.
Let's be a button. I need that one to be EHR. Can be the EHR.
Oh, and also the.
It's a little on the nose, but.
I guess it's good. But I can be the.
Okay, so then I can be probably converted for the first case.
HR can be the.
I think you two need to be close enough.
So we have patient, yellow button, HR.
People can somehow magically use an application which is somewhere in between them. Okay, let's say that I am this application. Fernando, can how you authorize yourself to me?
You know me. Yeah.
I trust you for now. And I have access to my stuff. And you can press button. And then let's see what happens.
Can I please get a copy of all of my data in the EHR? I want to check it and use it for my own purpose.
What information do you have? I got the button.
Yes. I am also from Rico. I am to go and take this.
Who are you? Use the Wi-Fi. So
We are in the same ecosystem.
okay.
I am an application that probably is provided by your organization. So let's say
Okay, so you're like my setup. So you're
It's authorized by you, it's okay.
but I trust it.
okay. And I trust you because of
We are on the same network. We are trusted
okay.
by magic, but we are trusted.
Okay. And I give back an IPS.
Yeah, an IPS.
Thanks, but that's not what I asked for. I want to get all of my data. This is just a subset of my
It
data.
is, but that's what currently I can provide for you.
I know the EHR has APIs for more.
That's something. We are not on the bottom level per se, but for some we are still missing specifications to be in the format. For some,
I don't care. Regardless of format, give me whatever is there, and then I will do it so I can use my.
This is the tricky part. Whatever is implemented in the yellow button follows the SRFXL. So if I don't have the specification, I cannot provide it to you. Right now that I have for IPS and probably a prescription, and I think we also have hospital, I can give you these parts, labs also, and probably and hopefully we will test them in May. Let's see. Imaging, I'm not sure about imaging, to be honest with you, and I'm not sure. Do we have imaging?
Yeah, the part of the imaging report as a work in progress, but we can be confident to fulfill the expectation of Michael soon, not from the game matter, but
Okay,
quite soon.
so pretty soon you will get
I
them.
would also propose that to the bottom, could that be kind of the zero level compliance, just give me any data, and then the first level up from that would be something that's compliant with the
Okay. That is from the way that we want to implement it, what you perceive and whoever's going to implement it. But from the project point of view, it's we need to align with the specifications or the coming specifications, so we didn't touch this part.
Yeah.
And right now, there are two things that are missing. We download it, perfect, but I also have another functionality. But me,
Yes.
I am the app that I'm using here.
Yeah, but you're my son. Hey, I have this other app, or I have, yeah, this algorithm, my ChatGPT Health and Anthropic Health, Claude Health, and I want them to have continuous real-time access to my data. Can you please grant complete real-time continuous access to my data to these?
For now, I can give you one-time share link.
Yeah, one-time share, does it mean from now
No,
to eternity?
it's nothing to prepare, it's bad, no.
Okay, let's start with that. Can you please give me access?
Okay, so all your data, patient summary also.
Yeah, and at least on Epic, you could get a refresh function for depending on the resources.
But the button again.
So what is missing in this setting now?
But currently, the button only gives me the one-time access. I don't-
We sort of glossed over how does the like Claude or ChatGPT communicate authentication to this cluster of trusted. But maybe it's fine for just us to skip past that.
For this, let's skip this part. Thanks.
I've been following those discussions in US when people have tried that, and they've learned that, hey, if you do the smart authentication certain ways, if you rely on Defca, then you get your data there, but with some other scenarios, you don't get your data today. And for people not familiar with this, OpenAI on January 7th, opened the ChatGPT Health, so kind of constrained ChatGPT just focused on your personal health with additional guardrails, and week after also, Anthropic also released the broad AI for health, and that also does the same thing. And in US, both of those can connect straight to EHR's download of the data with the last set, and we should do that same.
Okay, perfect. But where is your consent?
Yeah, well, that was, I was asking you to grant me.
This is an implicit consent.
Well, from my perspective, it's pretty explicit. I explicitly ask you to give ChatGPT Health access to my data. Yes, I actually actively ask you to do that. Then
Going
it's
back to what you asked me for. What happens if we have a way that we continuously share information and at some point you want to stop it? When do you stop it? Do you stop it from the GPT side or from?
I would expect to be able to stop it from here where I actually asked for it, then also.
So you're going back to the source, and this is what we are trying currently to fulfill. It's a way that we take this as a consent mechanism. So you did consent because you wanted this transaction to happen, and at a certain point of time you want it to stop. So you should always go back to the source because someone is asking him technically, give me now information. Or we will see how this interaction will happen. But at a certain point, you need to check, do I have this permission to serve? We said that for now you trust us, but whatever we say it's true, but at a certain point of time, you need to always have a mechanism that can ask, can I do this now? Yes, no, yes, fine. Tomorrow you change your mind and disregard this part. And going back to Probably it was this slide. No. Let's say somewhere between the lines and the discussion, you could use your wallet now.
Yeah.
So now I'm a different application on my wallet. And you two have different roles. One of you is an issuer. You could continue to be an issuer and you are verified. And you want to do something else. Perhaps something that might be easy in a way is going to a previous schema that you authenticate yourself through the wallet with that application. And that also solves a part of the hidden trick that was before, that we didn't know how we can trust it. Right.
Yeah.
And going to the demo from Sonia before. Actually, the easy stuff from the button as in terms of collaboration between the two. I can get from that yellow button the IPS. It's in your hands. And now you can put it in the wallet because someone showed the way.
Yeah.
So it has to go probably to him. So there is a kind of communication, or you can be part, not you the only two, part of you could be interacting with the yellow button. And the website here wants something.
So in this case, I would actually ask, because I'm not that familiar with MDoc Word yet, but I would ask, hey, issuer, could you please give me my IPS, the patient summary, and sign each of the sections separately, and especially with the medications and allergies and immunizations, all of those entries, sign them separately as verifiable credentials to be stored on my wallet. So give me all of my IPS, but with selective disclosure, so I can then later choose what to share with the third party. Or I could ask, okay, from my IPS, give me just my allergies and immunizations. And then when I actually register to Radical Health Festival, then I can use my wallet to authenticate and also give my allergies, because I have dozens of allergies. I'm tired of typing them in manually, so I want to share my allergies as well to verify. And I don't think you especially need to check the verification, but if you want to check whether I'm really allergic to everything and need this special diet, then you can confirm that.
This is the yellow button.
This is part of the yellow button, but even if it's not for the yellow button itself, because you might as well have distinct use cases. What you are asking for, in my point of view, should not be 100% functionality of the issuer. There should be a component in front of the issuer. So you're talking to that. This is splitting the information, data, or whatever.
Yeah.
Gives him the information together with vaccinations. You get one credential, like we saw before, the health ID, and another one. So whichever time you want to set something of that, you set only that. So I'm a little bit privacy money. So I don't want to have everything in a full document. Better split it, but someone else has to do it for him. You sign it for such a job. And then on the circle of trust between the two and the wallet, you trust me, I trust him. So this is part of signing. So whatever system is behind you, because you may be a master issuer, and you could issue something to him, or you provide a certificate to here, so this HR system can issue these kind of credentials. And however we got them, I have them. And I said to the allergist, because he does not have, for example, peanuts in his lunch. And this could be, I believe, an easy case to demonstrate at some certain point of time. And it's not, for example, nothing with health week, because it's in 3 weeks from now. It's too short, maybe in Brussels. Could be a way. And on top of it, you can solve also the publication part.
So just to confirm, he is a human being.
Yes.
Okay.
He's the only thing.
On a side note,
So is a human being is not a patient app.
No, I am the patient or the wallet.
You are the wallet. You say the same people that you were the wallet,
Yes.
not the patient app.
yeah,
I have two notes.
yeah, but they might be different. That's a really
Yeah.
good point. There might be wallets.
I will be in mobile phone having both.
Yes, but if you have, this is the question that I have, is that I understood that so far, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I understood that so far that the wallet can be used to access the service that is provided by the trust. But as, in order to authenticate it and to access that service, there is a different thing by the fact that I have my sensor tech app that use the Euro wallet feature to authenticate the sensor text app in order to access the API offered by the
Step use case, nice.
yeah, and this is what I think is really important if you want to make really usable API to the wallet.
That's a really good point. We have been puzzling with some of those scenarios with Samuel. So there, my use case as the patient would be that, hey, Sean, please give me anything that's in Apotti right now. And then, Sophia, please give me anything that's in the Friends healthcare ecosystem and all of these different places where my data is. I can download several different IPSs and I store them within Sensor Trends patient-facing app that shows me all of these, helps me curate my own personal IPS. Hey, these are the duplicates, these are the differences between all of that. I have merged the conflicts and so on. And now I have my full IPS here. And then I go, for instance, in Vietnam to hospital and want to share some of my data, but not everything. I'm too embarrassed to share all of my mental problems. So I'll exclude those in Sensor Trend app, but please, wallet, can you share all of the rest of that? That's the bundle. And here you can see that that was signed by Sean and that was signed by Sophia and so on. Please share that. And then there's another verifier. Yes, as I mentioned first of that.
The other question that I have is that I don't know so much about that doc. I don't know if any exercise or and how the, because I understand that in the end, behind that would be the fire resources that describe the outage conditions so on. And I would expect some kind of bi-directional mapping or
Consider doc as the transport layer, but it's not that big of a deal, or it will not affect.
okay. So what we are going to exchange then with them doc. I don't know, I'm ignorant in the how we can talk for. So
There are two things we are exploring now in My Health My Hand. One is I want the ID of the sections for the patient submission for whatever he's asking. I want just the IDs of the IPS of the sections and not the whole records inside it, or I could just bundle it directly because there is another thing that I'm not sure which direction we should decide to follow. If I as a wallet should hold all the information specifically, or if I should hold the information of where is this part of information. Because if I have the ID, then I could just give you access and we can query the source and retrieve.
yeah, but this is not work, doesn't work in the, I believe, the main use case that is the patient exchange. So the online is nice, but in real practice, I would expect that people will bring the mobile with him and they will try.
Yes, these are different, let's say, parts of exploration, and we are still haven't decided, to be honest, 100% which direction we are going. We are still trying to do both, and figure out which is the best, or which should be used for which use cases, and what we will not avoid, let's say. Because at some point, what happens if I break the phone? For now, we keep all the logs perfectly, because there are other things that we need to solve in the meantime. There should be auditing on this. If I get information and whenever he asks me for a service, because we are together on his phone, we are bundled together. And he loses his phone in Vietnam. If we recreate organizations from scratch with new expiry dates, I think that's totally normal. He will never know that I sent this information. And in some cases, I believe he has to know that this information was shared.
Well, I also want to know.
Yeah.
I don't
So at some
know.
point, I need to, as a wallet, provide some feedback back.
Yeah, but it's very hard in practice to do that. You can always say, I saying that you can put some security meta, this information only for display or destroy after the usage or whatever you want to invent, but you cannot check. You can integrate, you share that thing to that partners, but what is happening? You can
Well,
totally trust.
For me, I'd like to get consent receipts. So whenever I share my data, I get a receipt and then I store it to a wallet that actually stores it in some cloud, so it's not dependent on my phone.
It's the wallet.
The wallet is on the, but if you get a new mobile installation of the phone and you log in once, you still have access to your previous information, but they will be reissued, so you will not know the history because it's a local instance. So that's why I said, if I have the ID of the sections and Vietnam further is willing that because I send the ID and the consent and the way you can come in, because in the attestation we can define whatever we want inside. He can keep laws. They start from there, not this, I mean, we can still define whatever we want to maintain for this information, but he can keep laws.
The great games would probably need both use cases. I want to have some of the data stored locally, and for some of the data, it's better to just.
Yeah, also, this is the idea thing. It's like, it's a different way to use a kind of smart link. So I agree that somehow I have a way to access this in a trustable way. It is a, yeah, it's a different use case. The point is that I hope that we can try to convince everyone to reduce the usage of the documental approach and try to do the best possible for the maintaining the atomic information rather than the entire document that is rich. This is what I hope you can try to push for. And this will have what was described before. So I wanted to share my other thing. I wanted to share my mitigation and without the need of keeping the structure of the IPS or the object or whatever.
We have a demo of that.
Oh, sorry.
You want to see, or
Just that, unless we want to discuss something more, which we will be here today tomorrow.
Okay, let's see the questions in the chat then. I missed it. Yes, I do have my audio on, but let me see because there was a question in chat. Okay, I will try to type it and Kari, we can continue this.
So Giorgio, if you go to the results page of the hackathon, there's the patient access, and then there's wallets track specifically. And here we have something really cool regarding the selective disclosure. So this has my IPS information, and then I have this magic pen, red pen, and I can say, I want to share everything except that reference, for instance. And for this section, the active problems, my diagnosis, I don't want to share all of that. And I want to also not share the results section. And whenever I do any of these changes, the actual payload that gets transmitted is changed, and also the disclosures and the actual resulting IPS that goes further to the verifier. So we have an implementation already demonstrating how this can be done with the selective disclosure JOT specification.
What you are doing is you update the vision summary. So you still have a vision summary.
But the magic here is that I have one patient summary, and all of when I get this from the healthcare provider, I get the signatures of all of the elements. And then I select when I want to present this to somebody, I only want to share part of that. And then only that part will get shared, but all of the signatures are still preserved from the healthcare provider. So that's kind of the cool thing here, that the authenticity, the verification path stays from the original source to the reader, but I'm not forced to share the exact document. I can share parts of the document, and it's still clear to the receiver that, hey, this is what I got. And there's also decoys, so there's no way of seeing, okay, how much information there was originally, what's been redacted, and so on. Happy to discuss more about this, but looks really promising that you can actually do this. And this red pen and actual JSON, that's not how you'd use this as a patient, but you would have actually your IPS visualized, and then you could from there check, okay, this is shared, this is not shared. But I guess this answers really well your wish of getting rid of documents and going more fine-grained. Thank you, Argyris. Any questions, still comments? Let's see something from the chat. If not, then let's concentrate on hacking for some time.
I don't mind. That's okay. Okay, so I will try to be quick because we are not that many in the room. So let's start. So I'm going to present Eurydice, which is an initiative by IHE, and the plugathons that we will be testing during the plugathons was Argyris just presented before. So just a little slide on what's IHE, because maybe some of you don't know. So we are a nonprofit organization founded in 2000. So it will be our 25th anniversary this year. So if you would like to join our event, that would be a nice one. So we are a community of experts, which is split between users and vendors. So we have people from both sides. We are not a standardizing organization. We are just reusing the standards and make them work together. And we do that in what we call integration profiles. We organize every year a Connectathon, which is like the hackathon that you are doing, but with IHE profiles and on Gazelle that was presented this morning by Nicole. And we support different projects, regional projects, like the EU project that Argyris presented, and some other. So we are present all around the globe, but I'm representing just one in Europe. So not that long ago, so 1 year ago, we created Eurydice, which will support the development of implementable specification for EHTS. So it's jointly created with IHE Europe and HS7 Europe. So the goal is to design some specification that could be used and referenced in the EHTS Implementing Act. So we support EHTS, of course. We are working with the requirements, and we are leveraging IT methodology and HS7 FHIR specification. So to know a bit more about Eurydice and the specification that were already developed, that we already did, you can come to the plugathon or the projectathon. There are 2 events that will happen during our Connectathon week. And the specification are mostly on 2 sides, so on IHE profiles. So we rebrand some IHE profiles that are already existing and that are referenced in XTHR deliverable. And also we use the HS7 FHIR implementation guides.